really what are the ways forward, and what is really super exciting and inspiring, and how we can get involved and help build something together. So I have with us Rajagopal ji, part of Ekta Parishad, and Gandhian, Bayo Akomolaff from Nigeria, part of the founder of the Koro Network, and we have Carlos Sevilla from the Five-Star Movement in Italy, and it's a very important movement. They went from, as you heard, 2 people to 9 million people, and very relevant for a lot of the people who are looking at what's happening with the Aam Aadmi Party here and how it should move. We have Ashish Kothari from Kalpvriksk. His day job is with Kalpvriksk. And we have Cable the Sloth. He is from Japan, and he is the founder of the Sloth Club. Movement to slow down. So I would like to just start and welcome Helena also back on the panel.
This is very interesting because I follow the Gandhian tradition. So anything about localization is very interesting, right? If you recollect what Gandhi said, one, he said, whenever you contemplate an action, think of the poorest and weakest in the society. That means think of the last person left behind. In this rat race, we very often leave a lot of people behind. We climb on the shoulder of people and jump up, and now looking back, how many people we have pushed behind. So localization is all about thinking about the last person in the society, to my mind. The second thing, an interesting quote from Gandhi. Gandhi was asked immediately after independence of India that, what is your idea of a new India? And he said, look, 500,000 self-sufficient, self-governed villages uniting into a nation called India. He never thought of a powerful state in Delhi controlling every village of India and deciding what should be the fate of people living there. Self-governed, self-sufficient villages uniting into a nation called India. So whenever you speak about localization, I am very pleased. And for me, localization is possible only when local communities are organized, and my work is around organizing the local communities to resist the onslaught of global forces. And that is where it begins. So I take great happiness in coming to a conference like this and see so many people are speaking about local realities and strengthening the local reality in terms of people's power and also in terms of people's economy. So I'm very happy.
Can you share a little bit about your work and how it's related to the localization?
See, my work begins with local young people, you know, because of various reasons, local people are demoralized. A farmer feels that farming is a bad thing. An indigenous person feels that I am the most stupid person in this world. So we have somehow brought them into a situation where they feel very demoralized and weak. So my work is basically identifying young people in villages, illiterate in the modern sense of the word, illiterate young people who never had an opportunity to go to schools or colleges, and give them an opportunity to bring their leadership qualities up. So these are youth camps in which hundreds of young people come. Because they are not in a position to read and write, we have developed a training module where a lot of other activities are involved, games and songs and theatre and debate and working together, manual labor, etc. So leadership development, and these leaders are going back to villages to organize their communities, and once these communities are organized in hundreds of villages, unite them into a forum called Ekta Parishad, and so struggles at the local level to deal with day-to-day life, but together struggles at the top level, at the national, international level, to change policies. So that is what we were doing for the last 30 years. So every day we are busy with our own problems, and we believe in this kind of work. You should have a threefold approach. The one is called struggle, that when struggle is needed you should struggle. The second is called dialogue, struggle is not an obsession. We are not struggling for the sake of struggling. Whenever you need to talk, talk. But when there is no struggle, when there is no talk, constructive programs. So it is called Sangharsh, Samvad or Rachana. These three components are very important in our work. So we take care of the economic part of the work, we also take care of the dialogue part and also the struggle. And all these three put together, it becomes a very vibrant, very strong social movement.
What is this five-star movement all about? Yeah.
It's like another in politics. So actually, first of all, I have to thank you all. I'm really happy to be here, and I didn't expect actually because I didn't have any expectation on this meeting, I have to say. But I have this occasion to share with all of you this incredible enthusiasm you have actually, and I have this mixing, and it's creating an incredible tornado of energy and tsunami of energy, and I'm really happy about this, and so I really want to thank you and making an applause to you. I really didn't expect that. So I had the possibility to talk to young people, very young people, really interested in the project, in the workshop, today and yesterday as well. And I have to thank all these people from Nigeria, from India, Australia, New Zealand. I'm meeting people from all over the world interested in what I'm doing and what we are doing in Italy as a movement, which means that it's something really big. It's a worldwide revolution. I mean, I didn't realize that before coming here. So, first of all, I wanted to say that I just made 1 year of an MP. I'm an MP since 1 year, so this is kind of anniversary. And let's celebrate together, please. And I think we Italians and Indians, I was talking to a friend yesterday, one of the friends that I met to the Vishtar. And one told me that we are not so different, Italian and Indians, because we all are really have great emotion in the communication, so we move hands and talk like this, hands like this. And we make friends really easy. And then we have one of the most corrupted political classes. I just want to do one thing to let you understand what I mean global to local. I take a picture of you because you're wonderful. You're great. Okay. I use this as a tool because now this meeting is kind of local, and this local meeting is going to be global. So we are reversing these things because I'm putting this on the web, and it is going to bounce, and people is going to talk about localization. What is this? We're going to share this information. What localization mean to me? Localization is giving power to the people, giving power back to the people. That's what it is. And my experience says that all this is really, really possible. It is happening actually. And that's what we did with 5-Star Movement. As I was talking in the workshop, explaining in the workshop, this movement arose with people like you. We didn't face each other actually, because we didn't know what we were, who we were. Because we were, turning around our head, and we didn't realize that there was something wrong in the world, but actually we didn't realize what. Because we delegate something to make choices for us. But these choices were not what we wanted. So we wanted to change something. And we started to organize a group of people. At the beginning, my first meeting was with another guy, which nickname is Shamin, because he really loves India. He has been here in India many times, but his real name is Antonio. And we met in a bar in front of a cup of coffee, and we said, this guy, this Beppe Grillo guy that is opening this blog, is sharing information. It's really cool stuff. I mean, I never heard about, we had in the parliament people convicted, people with allegation procedure. I didn't know before. And this guy was sharing with us information. And I met this guy over too. Then, in 2013, we became 9 million, because 9 million of people voted for us at the national election. And this was a big change. And I should tell you a story of what this happened. Because this happened starting from local, let's say, local administration. Because we started to talk to local representatives and asking, hey, something is wrong, let's do this kind of project. I always show this project, which is an alternative currency. Maybe who has been in the workshop with me already know, but I like to show this because this is something anyone could do, because we were no one, no parliamentaries, no representatives, we were people. And we did this alternative currency. We found a black hole in the legislation, which did not have rule for alternative currency, and we started to spread this. And we were just citizens without power, let's say. Then we realized that the local administration was deaf to our request. So we were turning left, and they were deaf people. Turning right were deaf representatives. So we said we should do something by ourselves. And so we say we're no left, we're no right, we're beyond. We want to be beyond this concept. Because this is something really different. The people that has been chosen to be inside the parliament, let's say, to be elected in the list, to be voted from the people, it's people that have accepted some rules. You don't need a law to fight corruption. You don't need a law. I know many of you think that we should change, make a reform. It's not true. It's when you have a value, you don't need a law. Because this value is shared with people. And so you've got to trust these people that have this value. And to make people understand why we are against corruption, what we did, we said few simple principles. Few. One, you should have never been convicted and should have never been allocated for anything. Second, not more than 2 legislation, 2 mandates. That means one legislation is 5 years. If you do 5 years and you can do other 5 years, then you stop. And this is not something we invented. This is an Aristotelic principle of democracy. So we are taking back from Aristotle the principle of democracy. And another thing was cutting our salaries of the 50%. Cutting the salary of the 50% makes you act like if you were a citizen. So there's no difference between a citizen and an MP in Italy, like of the 5-star movement. And the other half of the cut salary goes to the small and medium enterprises, which means helping localization. Because we think that local enterprises, like local shops, local firms, and things like this, are the backbone of the Italian economy. And we have lost with the economic crisis, which actually is a financial crisis, the 30% of the manufacturing. So this is a big revolution that we have put it inside the institution, and we are working with the people to make it better every day.
That's awesome. Awesome. I'd like to invite Cable. Everyone know what a sloth is? Sloth. Share something about what's exciting for you for...
Yeah, what's attractive? I'd like to say dancing. Dancing. Japanese used to be good dancers and good singers. Often we would go out and have a picnic. And sure, we would start dancing and singing. And they were good dancers. I still remember my fathers, mothers, grandparents, that generation. And we lost that. Now to dance, we have to go to some commercial places, like dancing joints, to dance and paying a lot of money. I'll tell you about one town in Japan. Okay, this town is known for dancing, festival. And it lasts for a week. And And also this town is known for young people not wanting to leave the town. This is totally, opposite to the, the trend all over Japan or in India, I guess. Young people almost always want to leave the town or village for big cities. And the biggest reason, I interviewed them, biggest reason is the festival. So in this town, this festival lasts, 1 week, and actually they prepare for this occasion for the whole year, right? Every day they do something to prepare for the next festival. And everybody in this town has a role, from singers, dancers, players of drums, everything. So, and the roles change, from, when you're children, you have a certain role, and so forth. So they say that once you leave the town, you lose a role, and you lose a meaning of life. So they refuse to leave. So this is something very profound about the localization. And also I want to talk about, of course, local food. Whenever I travel to, countryside, the best thing is food, always. Water. Japan is blessed with water. And we used to have a local energy and so forth. So to imitate, what Carlos said, to me localization is to bring water, food, energy, among other things, back to the people. Okay, I want to talk a bit about water because with the Sloth Club, we organized this movement to boycott vending machines. I was shocked when I spent a lot of time outside Japan, and when I came back to Japan, I was shocked to hear that, everybody, young people, think that they are secure. They are okay, even if, some kind of a crisis happens. They are fine because they have vending machines. So I looked around and I found out that there are actually 5 million vending machines, 5.5 million vending machines in Japan. And many of them are using so much electricity that actually, all together, to just feed in the vending machines and things inside the vending machine, you need 4 nuclear power plants, reactors. Now we know, in Fukushima today, even today, 4 reactors are still continuing to leak the most toxic material into the atmosphere, into the ocean. So actually, for vending machines, we are operating these 4 Fukushima reactors. I told you that Japan is probably the most blessed country in the world with water. Right? And to bring back this water back to the people. People for hundreds of years, more than 1,000 years, 2,000 years, they have been managing perfectly the water. Using, having a rice paddy, which needs a lot of water. Everything was fine for over many hundred years. But now we are totally dependent on nationally centralized water system. And then this once naturalized water is now being given as a present, a gift to the giant corporations. Privatization of water. One more thing. good thing, attractive thing about the localization is time. Time. We have to bring back our time to ourselves. That's about localization. We say that we buy things, we possess things, but to me that's like an illusion. You are not possessing anything at the end of the day. You're not possessing anything. Only thing we have is time. Time to live. So time is life. So what do we do now with time? We are translating, we are transforming time into money. Right? So we buy something. To buy something, we have to spend a lot of time to buy it. And once you buy it, you have it, you have to spend a lot of time to use it. And then now we have to work very hard to earn the next one. So, time has been appropriated by giant corporation again. So we have to bring that back to ourselves.
Great.
Local self-rule politically. It is implementing local self-rule economically because they've gained complete legal control to that 2,000 hectares of forest around them. They now sustainably harvest the bamboo. The revenues that come from them come back into a village fund. It doesn't go to the headman or some particular politician, only back to the whole village fund. The village has decided that entire money will be used for full employment generation, full energy security, full water security, training young people in barefoot engineering and so on and so forth. And the latest move that they've done, which I am completely inspired and awestruck by, all the private lands of the village have been donated back into the village commons. So the entire 2,000 hectares of land is now part of the commons. I heard a Spanish village has done something very similar very recently. So we're trying to figure out whether some exchange program can actually happen between them. That's one example. The second one, very quickly. Can I?
Yeah.
Okay. Is of what is actually in Indian society the most oppressed section of the population, which is Dalits. That is for the non-Indians here, the so-called outcasts, or the so-called untouchables, the Harijans that Gandhiji called. Dalit, women, small farmers. Triple oppressed or triple disprivileged people. In 65-70 villages of Andhra Pradesh in South India, Dalit women farmers have actually in the last 30 years so completely transformed their agriculture from being scarcity ridden, drought prone, having to depend on food aid from the government, etc., to becoming completely self-reliant, total control over 75 varieties of local millets, local rice, local pulses, connecting that to a local distribution, food distribution system, food grains in every village. And these women now are making their own movies. They've made 75 films. They run a community radio for 200 villages. They run their own school where local different kind of teaching happens, etc. And many other things. They've been to Peru and met up with the potato part farmers who are doing very similar things with 800 varieties of potatoes. Those people have come here, learned from each other, and they've been to the FAO and talked about what they're doing. They've been to the CPD. This is local to global. It's real local power actually reaching global voices and making a change. I think really based on all of this, maybe I'll talk about it later, there's some fantastic principles arriving out of this, which I think we need to learn from, and which really are about localization to globalization of a very, very different nature, and making and seeing that it's possible.
Great.
It is possible. It's happening out there.
Great, excellent. Bayo, give us some wisdom. What's inspiring you about the localization movement?
The last time I checked, a flight left Malaysia. We all know the story, right? Yeah. MH370 left Malaysia on its way to China, and it's the most mysterious disappearance of an airline in history. And I'm connecting with that at that moment because I've been very passionate about coming home and the notion of being at home So if you would join me for just 20 seconds. I don't know if we could rise just to acknowledge these people who haven't come home yet. May they come home soon. Thank you for standing. But on a much lighter note, I love biryani. Let me say this. What is most exciting to me about localization is something I'll share with you, but I'd like to give it some context. When I was small, when I was a lot younger than I am right now, I was beaten in school if I attempted to speak my language. I was told my language was vernacular, and the teacher would beat me, bring me out of the class, and chastise me in front of everyone. It wasn't just school, it was my parents as well. My parents taught me that to be good, to make it in life, you have to speak English properly. To my unfortunate disadvantage, I'm speaking it very well today. And I grew up in a system that told me that I was inadequate. That unless I competed with my friends in a very musical chairs arena, I was nothing. And unless I earned grades, unless I was branded, I wasn't going to make it in life. They insidiously suggested the idea of making it to me in the first place, making it, this amorphous dream of making it. Nobody knew what it meant, but it seemed like we're all on that course to making it. And I passed out of school and I entered into the workspace, and it was the same old paradigm. It was like prison expanded. It was an invitation to just move into a much more luxurious cell room and to make myself believe that everything was just all right. I was told I was free, I could do anything I want, I was now a working member of society. Just don't speak your language, just don't believe in your indigenous traditions, just try and be proper English, suited up with a tie. Don't encourage questions, do as you're told, earn a salary, vote for the president, go to church, don't sin. And, you know, in a sense, of all the magnificent things that can be said about localization, about economics on steroids, and all the things that can be said about globalization, and the terrible things that it's bringing to the planet, I want to connect right now with my newfound freedom to come home to myself, the freedom to be who I want to be. And that's what localization is. If you came to me in Nigeria, you wouldn't see me dressing this way. You would see me dressing in a suit and tie. Helena is looking like, seriously. Yes, it's true. It's because my country is still under the illusion of a very, very stubborn, sticky paradigm that says we're on a linear trajectory towards this fuzzy place called tomorrow. And we don't know what it looks like, but we know that our white brothers and sisters are in front of us, and so we should follow them. And we have been following. We've been doing it faithfully, following the idea of a nation state, following the idea of schooling, following the idea of development and progress, going to the shopping malls, celebrating one when a new one opens, and celebrating the road that is built to it, celebrating new cars in our environment, celebrating when a factory pumps gas into the air, We've been doing a lot of celebration, and right now I think it's time to tell our stories. And that's what localization means. It means for me that I can wear this shirt and embrace the contradiction that it brings. It means for me that I can be situated in all my paradoxes, in my linguistic difficulties. It means that I can wear this shirt and tell the stories that it tells, even though I don't understand it right now. It means that I can decolonize myself and speak to another person. It means that I do not have to forge an accent. Sorry, I'm not speaking an accent right now. But it means to me, much more deeply and intimately, that I am who I am. And I do not need to be molded. I do not need to be cloned after this universal model that suggests to us that we're inadequate. I can be embraced and loved as who I am. That's what localization is.
Ashish, what's different about this whole thing?
Well, for one thing, the number of hugs one gets. I think I've not got so many hugs in my life that I got in the last 2 days. Yeah, I think yes. Well, two things. I think one is that, and I agree with Carlo, that I think there are some things that are already different. One of them is that I think probably for the first time in history, we're not just a movement that's talking about what's wrong.
Yeah.
And it's not just we're fighting against something, no this, no that. That's crucial, we still have to do that, we still have to resist. But we're also showing and pointing to what we are for. What are the solutions, what are the answers, or what are the explorations that we need to go towards, even if we don't have the final solutions. And I think it's absolutely crucial because at least in India for the last 30 years, we have the environmental movement have been saying no this, no that, no that. Now when we go to the people, they say, you know, we're tired of you, we know you're against big dams, we know you're against mining, we know you're against this politician, etc. But tell us what you're for. And I think that's what is already different with this movement. The second, I think, big difference is that, again, maybe for the first time in history, we have a sense of being simultaneously local and global. And your act just now was one demonstration of that. And I think that sense is both because we are acting locally, so we know we're part of the local, but things like, paradoxically, climate change or the internet or whatever has also showed us that something or the financial crisis, that something somebody does 3,000 miles away is going to affect me, and something that I do is going to affect them. And that global consciousness along with the local actions is probably, again, I may be mistaken, but I think, again, it's the first time in history. What I think needs to change or be different is ideologies. I totally agree that I think we need to move beyond the divisions that have divided even the social movements and environmental movements in the past. The ability to collaborate in a diversity of identities. So there's a localization movement, there's a radical ecological democracy movement, there's a sustainable economy. So there's lots of them, but if the principles are similar, then there should be no reason we should not be able to collaborate. And finally, trust. I think we need far more trust. When I hug you and you hug me, we trust that we're doing it in a completely clean manner. That's a small example. But another one that I give always is couch surfing. I don't know how many of you actually have used couch surfing. Okay, about 15, 20 people. Couch surfing is a system in which millions of people are using. You can go to any town or city in the world, probably even some big villages, where you can stay with a complete stranger who doesn't know you at all, free of charge. It works completely on trust. No money exchange, you don't know the person from Adam or Eve, and it still works for millions of people. That trust is what again needs to be different in our movement.
They've got now an international monetary reform website, whereas before they just had, you know, billstill.com, AmericanMonetaryOrg.com, PositiveMoney.com, and now they're all linking up together. And that is obviously much more of a force than having 50 different little websites. So I think I've heard about all these movements today. We need to somehow bring them all together, and then it's got a lot more power, and then eventually maybe the localisation movement can go with the monetary reform movement, and they all come together, and that's when it's really powerful and we can really make an action.
Hi, I'm Viv from Argentina. I teach in India. I've been here 10 years. And I asked Manish Jain this morning, do you think there's any hope? And I was very happy to hear him say yes, especially in India. But my question as a teacher in India is, what are we going to do about the education system? They're brainwashing our kids. It's terrible. It's a serious question, although it's funny, but I'm really very worried about the children in India. That's my question.
Great.
Manish should answer that question. Because the beautiful thing happening today is that things are already being done. The system is not so coherent anymore. And people are doing magical, wonderful things to come out and walk out of that thing that is exploiting our children's joy. I just had a baby 8 months ago, and we plan to unschool her. We do not plan to take her to school. We plan to live with her, to play with her, to embrace all the contradictions that she brings to us, and to actually be mentored by her. And I think people, ordinary people like you and I, walking out of the system is creating a tsunami of, can I use your word? It's creating a tsunami of responses that is going to make the system of schooling cave sooner or later. But I think at this point, I think Manish, who is carnally intimate with what is happening at the moment, should actually respond to this question. So even though he's facilitating, I think the question is from Manish there. So could we all applaud Manish right now?
So I think that, whatever, I just look at all of the strategies we're looking at Shikshantar, and it comes down to a simple thing is, all of the things that we can do to get kids out of classroom, we should be looking at. Basically, very simple. Let us get out of the mind that we can make the classroom a good space. Whether it's an alternative classroom, but get kids out of the classroom, let the world, let life, let's have faith in that. Let people, different kinds of people, let them interact. Things will start to shift. And that's my last 16 years of Shikshantar experiences. The more people get out and start interacting again with life. Because the way to control people, the way that schools, whether they're formal schools or they're alternative schools, the control is by cutting people off, kids off from life. And let them interact with life. We have a simple thing that every school can start. We started a campaign called the Year On campaign. What we're encouraging kids is to take a gap year to school. I have principals all over the country signing up, saying that your education cannot be complete unless your children had a year to explore the world on their own, without being controlled or manipulated or directed into some exam. So please give your children at least a year to explore freely, to meet all kinds of people, to meet strangers, to wander aimlessly, to do all kinds of things that don't make any logical sense in the formal system. So if we can do that and create more and more opportunities for that, we have a chance. The more we think that we can take over and we can fix the system or reform the system, I think we're wasting our time.
It's a very interesting question, and it's a great concern for all of us, that the way the kids are being educated, brainwashed, that's the word you used. So what is happening is large number of people who are very concerned about this educational system, and people are looking for alternative ways of dealing with children, are slowly coming together. Right? I just came back from a large meeting in Uttar Pradesh, where about 50 people came together just to see how do we address this issue of education. When you say the education is not good, government will say make it more efficient. That's more dangerous. Right? So we are saying we are not asking for an efficient educational system, we are asking for a relevant educational system. What is relevant for life? What is life-making education? So it's a very important issue,
And in this process of localization, we need to see how do we address that issue seriously. If you want to build a new world order, you can't build it through this educational system. That is very clear to us.
I would just say one other thing is that this education system is putting us this scarcity that we don't have educational resources in this country. Every single educationist I know is always complaining there's the scarcity of good teachers. I'm saying that if we move from education to what we call shiksha, it's a radical shift. We got confused that we were told they're the same thing. They're very different things. In the world of shiksha, we are abundant. We have crazy amount. We probably have the hugest amount of learning resources that are available on the planet here. Whether it's in terms of alternative knowledge systems, in terms of apprenticeship learning, in terms of joint family learning spaces, in terms of access to animals and forests as learning resources. We have an incredible amount of stuff out there. And the problem is that we keep coming back to this damn classroom all the time and thinking this is all we have. And when I was in UNESCO, I was getting so irritated all the time that they used to tell us, India is 136th in terms of education. I'm saying we have, and we bought into that colonized, internalized poverty. I'm saying we have fantastic learning resources. We need to wake up and start seeing those again, connecting to them. I tell people I did my PhD under my illiterate grandmother's university. All of our grandmothers are fantastic learning resources for us. We need to connect to that kind of wisdom and energy again.
From globalization to localization. And for me it was a new concept, a new idea when I came in the morning. When I heard Helen and Rinpoche talking, I said, here's what is deep in my heart, and that's what they're saying. And I told Helen also, something from deep inside their heart you're saying, I think this is going to be a wonderful conference. And later on, the first session that happened in the morning was globalization. Because everybody starting from Claude to Charles, they spoke about the universe and how everybody is being controlled and how Coca-Cola is getting popular and how people are being trained now for war machinery. And then I thought, my God, we are up against a hill. And now with that training now, people will be shown frustration in every family because it might get localized and every family gets scared about each other, and then the global people will come and say, don't worry, we'll give you arms and ammunition so that you can protect yourself from your husband, your wife and your children, and everybody will be armed to the teeth so that they will be safe and nobody will be worried, and we'll all be living happily ever after because nobody can kill you because you have guns and you have everything. I thought the most scared country in the world, America, just because 2 buildings fell, everybody ran away. From that stage, next thing happened, and I thought, my God, the world, I do not know.
Can you get the question, please? Yeah.
1 second. And then I said, now as I wondered about how globalization is going to be, then I came to localization in the evening now. When everybody talked about homecoming and coming back in a 5-star arrangement where everybody got together and they hugged together. The MPs came and spoke to everybody and people hugged each other and there was a hope for tomorrow. And I do hope that everybody carries this hope. And I thank all the people for really making me experience what that fear of globalization was and what the love that you showed in that localization and how we can always carry this home. And I know every person who's come here is localized and with a lovely heart, and we will make a difference. And I do hope that the world, I know for sure that the world will make a difference.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Somebody give this guy a hug. Give him a hug.
My name is Prashant, I'm from Bangalore. I have been listening to localization and globalization from morning. This is not to anybody in particular to the panel, but at least to 3 of the Indians there. We are, I counted, we are, at this point of time, what I sense is this is a movement. It's a fantastic movement. Going forward, are we looking at any decisions on the policy level? If yes, when, how, where can we see it, and how fast can we see it implemented? If no, are we going to accept this as a movement and live with it? This is to, I don't know.
By that much more fundamentally different vision. That vision could be a dream of 30 years from now or 100 years from now, but that dream or that vision needs to be able to inform whatever actions you take. That's my take on it.
Rajaji.
I think both should go simultaneously, right? Millions of our people, not only in India, go to Brazil, go to Colombia, go to Nicaragua, go to Senegal, go to any country, millions of our people are living around land, forest and water. These are the resources around which you can create your local economic base, you know, and that is being grabbed by profit, for making profit. So this is like a huge conflict where deprived people wanting to have control over land, forest and water on one side, powerful lobbies wanting to have control over land, forest and water for making profit. So I think while we create the local strong communities and local actions and resisting the onslaught, we should simultaneously fight for change in policy regimes. Because as long as these policy regimes are there, today I create a beautiful situation for people and tomorrow that land is acquired by a government for a project. So I think this can be a simultaneous process, local, national and global. So we need to work together. That's what I feel.
Elena, would you like to say anything?
I don't want to take too much time, but yes, absolutely. I'm recommending a two-pronged approach where we do deal with policy, but not by going to talk to our policymakers, by talking to one another and creating a clear vision and a clear platform which does not have to have the same name. We don't have to come united into one website or one umbrella, but we need clarity about the basic structures and principles that we need. And we need to spell that vision out clearly enough to build up a strong people's movement that demands those changes of our policy making.
On this policy,
According to my experience, I would suggest not to program anything, because the thing will come. And you will see if it will be necessary to get somewhere. I don't know, but maybe not. Maybe this is sufficient and we're growing enough strong to really make. You do policy every day. You do policy every day. When you go to shop, you do policy. You do it when you make a choice. You do some kind of policy, some kind. So I think it's time not to program the things. It's time to let it go and see what happens. That's what is my suggestion.
Okay.
So I have very quick queries to our esteemed panelists, beginning with Rajaji. This very challenge of working with ideological divisions and going beyond. What has been your experience with that? Not only the Marxist ideological division, but the division between Gandhi and Ambedkar. Secondly, to Bayo, in this very interesting challenge of reclamation, for example in Nigeria, a very difficult challenge of fundamentalism. So how the process of localization deals with the challenge of fundamentalism, especially killing fundamentalism. And my query to Ashish, it's nice to listen to you. I'm Anantagiri from the Madras Institute. Now, for example, when land becomes part of the commands, the village commands, then what is the process of, for example, management and how does this community deal with that? Thank you.
Well, yeah, agricultural land as commons. Actually, the village is currently in full-scale discussion on how the agricultural land, which was previously private, will be managed as the commons. But essentially, it's about what are the cropping patterns that will be used, how will water be conserved. Those are the sorts of decisions they'll be taking as a Gram Sabha. They've already done it with the forest. It's, I'm pretty sure they're very confident they can do it with agricultural lands. And in fact, in the past, in many parts of India, agricultural land has very often been treated as part of the commons, especially, for instance, shifting cultivation land in the northeast or in central India, etc. So there are precedences available. Possibilities for collaboration, and maybe I can just take this as an opportunity to announce two things, two processes that Manish and I and many others are involved with. One is that as a follow-up to this, there will be in India a series of regional alternatives confluences, or Vikalp Sangams, the word that you saw in the flash mob dance that happened just before this, at the beginning of the session. So those alternatives confluences will go, region to region. The reason why we're doing it regionally is first because India is too big, and secondly because it then also provides the possibility of local communities to more meaningfully participate. Local farmers, Adivasis, fisherfolk, etc., etc. So that's going to start happening. Anybody who's interested, please get in touch with us. If you want to host a local alternatives conference, fantastic. You want to participate, let us know. Second, the flash mob was also about a website that 4 organizations here have collaborated to initiate. That's Bhumi, Shikshantar, Kalpvriksk and Deccan Development Society, called vikalpsangam.org. For the non-Indians here, for our foreign guests, Vikalp Sangam means Alternatives Confluence. So the alternative name for that is also alternativesindia.org. There is a flyer out there in the Kalpvriksk stall. Please pick it up, and we want all of you to send us your stories. We want to put stories, we want to put hundreds of stories, resources, books, movies, organizations, perspectives into that website, so that whenever anybody is feeling depressed, just go to that website. Thank you.
Just last thing. As you have seen, I like to interact with the crowd because I have great respect of your time, and I want to have this relationship with you. So I just want to tell you a very short story. I have a colleague which is an MP like me in my same movement, which had bad disease, and he couldn't open his left eye and couldn't move his left hand. He tried to go to classical doctors, but they didn't give any chance to recover. So he started to get information, independent information from the internet, and he found a way to self-healing with a simple detoxification solution by itself. This solution was not patented, so it just costed €5. With this solution, he fully recovered, and is now able to speak 3 languages, and is now in the parliament and is working with me. I share with you this experience because he has a blog where he helps other people to recover from this disease. And I think this is local to global. And his way is vinciamo noi, they say it like this. Like, we win, it means we win. And they say like this. So we in the parliament, when we do something good, we do like this, vinciamo noi. So since we have done something good and you are so responsive, I would like you to do one thing, vinciamo noi, and the next one we win, okay? And my 3. 1, 2, 3, please. Vinciamo noi, we win. Okay, thank you.
I forgot to mention, and I think this is also a sign of hope. A number of the dancers that you saw in the flash mob were people from the IT industry who actually helped incredibly and totally free of cost with this website that we're developing. A group called ThoughtWorks and many others. So thank you all. If IT folks can dance, well, there's hope.
Great. So I'm going to call Kiran back up. Thank you